All right, we are here.
Right.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for, what is it, December? Because we're like so far into January, I'm like, wait, which month are we talking about? We are here for December's book club discussion of Legendborn by Tracy Dion. Yay! And we are all dressed to represent this book, which I think it was a lot of people loved, so that's good. And I'm going to let my co-hosts introduce themselves. If you don't know me, my name is Holly Davis. I'm a young adult and middle grade fantasy writer, hoping to start querying again this year, so that's exciting. And yeah, that's me. Teresa, you want to go next?
Oh, sure. I'm Teresa. I'm a young adult and adult contemporary thriller writer. And I'm also a book reviewer and publishing consultant. And I hope to be releasing 2 books this year.
Woo, exciting. Vanessa?
Hi, I'm Vanessa. I'm a YA fantasy, paranormal, and horror writer and an indie publisher.
Nice.
Nice.
And Heather?
Hi, I'm Heather Venkat. I write YA and middle grade fantasy and contemporary novels, and I am hoping to be traditionally published in the future.
Woohoo! Maybe this year. There are so many people I know that are starting to query this year, so it's crazy. So hopefully we can come out with books that is just as good as this one. That might be hard to do.
Tall order.
Yes.
Order.
I know, I was just about to say. So we are missing one of our co-hosts, Alicia. So hopefully she'll be hopping on. Maybe she's just running a little bit late. I'm going to keep checking my messages, but hopefully she didn't forget. No, because yesterday she's like, I can't wait for our discussion.
Right.
So she might drop in and then we'll introduce her too. But if you're here, let us know in the comments how you enjoyed Legendborn. And as we go through the questions, feel free to answer them along with us. And if you're watching the replay, let us know as well, because I know a lot of people can't make it when the time comes out and it goes afterwards. So I always like to see who's watching the replay. So the very first question that I always like to ask is, what are your general overall thoughts on the book? And usually I start, but I'm not going to start this time because I know Vanessa actually was the one who kind of introduced us to this book and said how much she loved it. So I think I want Vanessa to start because I'm sure she has lots to say, because she's had 2 months to wait to talk about it.
Yeah. But then I want to go into spoilers. I don't know.
Oh, yes, I always forget. Alicia's usually the spoiler person telling us. So if you're watching and you haven't read Legendborn or haven't finished it yet, spoiler alert, there will be spoilers, just so you know. Disclaimer.
So
It's all right. You can get into whatever you want to.
I love this so much. It really sucks me in. What I love a lot about it is how fast-paced and action-packed it is. And I'm all about fast-paced, action-packed books. And part of this, when I was reading it, some of the scenes with the monsters, the demons coming through, and them fighting them, made me think Shadowhunters. So if you've read Cassandra Clare's books with any of her Shadowhunter books, that's kind of what I was picturing in that first fight scene. But I really liked how this goes into the author tales, how that's kind of woven into this. I liked how there's so much that I loved about this. I like the mental health issues that were addressed and how it was actually talked about, and she was seeing a therapist, and they kind of explored her grief and how complex it was. So I thought that was really good. There's so much. I don't know.
No, I love it. I think that's great.
I'll let someone else go because I'll just finish all my.
Wonderful. Whoever wants to go next.
Well, I can go.
Okay.
I will say I cheated a little bit because I read the Arthur note before I started reading the book, so I could get a little bit more understanding of what the book was going to be about. Now, the only problem I had is that I couldn't keep up with all of the different, the language stuff that they were bringing in, the different names. But after I got to the third part of the book, the root part, and I start learning a little bit more about Bree and where she comes from and how her mom was kind of really related to it, it picked up for me. Because at the beginning, I wasn't really into it. But then when I got to that root part, I was like, okay, this is really interesting. I can flow with this now. The third part. That root part was very, very interesting to me, and how she took her to the graveyard and they did the memory walk, and she learned a lot more stuff. And I also liked her, Bree and Cell, that was supposed to be protecting Nick. I liked their back and forth. Because he did not like her at all. So their little back and forth was very interesting to me, especially when you get toward the end of the book. And it kind of like turns a little bit and you're like, oh, maybe that's why.
Exactly. Yeah, that the memory walk part is a very powerful and like memorable.
Yes. Yeah.
So
it really, really intrigued me, the root part with the root craft and learning. Because at first I really didn't know what Bree's powers were, or why. I knew why she wanted to, go into the Legendborn to try to find out what was going on with her mom. But it was several hints on what her power was, but I just couldn't latch onto it yet until I got to the root part. So and I was like, okay, I can get it now.
Yeah. Yeah, we were going on wondering, like, is she like a hellhound? Is she like who Sal says she is? Because everyone's like, wait, you can do what now? And she's like, nothing,
Right.
So it's
she didn't want to say.
I mean, so she didn't even know. So we were kind of left in the dark too for a while, wondering like who exactly she was. So it was cool to discover that along with her.
Yeah, because I kept guessing. I was like, was she Shadowborn, or is she Legendborn, or is she something else?
Yeah, we knew she wasn't once born. We
knew she wasn't once born. So I like that little mysterious element about it.
Nice. Just showing up on the comments here really quick. Cammie stopping in. So thanks for stopping in, Cammie.
Hey, Cammie.
Okay, sorry, Vanessa.
No, I was just gonna also say, going along with the root work Teresa's talking about, I really like that aspect as well, and I thought it was so interesting how she differentiated the magic between the two groups. It was like, there's like our stuff is we borrow from our ancestors, but they do it's bloodcraft, I think it was called.
Yeah.
They feel the power. And so I thought it was interesting the differentiations she made between the groups and how they view magic and how they use it and see it. So.
Right.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I also loved the book as well. I really want it to be a movie. I don't know if it's being option for that, but because I was just picturing all of those creatures and all the characters and everything like that in my head, and like I want to see like the Aether. I want to see everything. And I also just like you, Teresa, I liked kind of the evolution with how her relationship with Cell kind of changed throughout the book. I also really liked kind of like sort of like the no drama kind of relationship that was built between her and Nick, which I guess we'll get to the characters later. But overall, I thought like the world building, you know, you were saying like all of the terminology, like there was just such rich and like complex world building in here that like I had to like reread certain things because I'm like, wait, I forgot like, you know, what this was and what the, you know, but I really liked how she built on the lore or just like, you know, like just what this world was and all of the magic was based off of. Like I thought it was super creative. I really loved it. And just like you, Vanessa, I also really loved the mental health aspect, like or I guess you both mentioned like the grief and the trauma because it made Bree more real because it's like that a real person is gonna struggle with all of these things. And immediately when she mentioned, oh yeah, like, oh, I had to like, you know, put Afterbury aside, like, oh, don't let Afterbury come out. And I'm like, you know, there can be different sides to people when, you know, you have that trauma. And I'm like, that is so true. And so I just really like latched onto that and I really like connected with her as the main character.
So true.
Yeah,
So true.
I definitely agree with all of that. And like ditto, like everyone said everything already, but like so like because everything, like when I was reading it, like I didn't feel like I was reading a book because the world building was so like rich and like the magic system was intricate. Like it just felt like I was like, well, I'm just reading about the facts. Like that's just the real thing. I'm just learning about this. It wasn't like, oh, I'm being told these world building aspects because it just felt so real. So that it did feel like I was like watching a movie. And like I really liked Tracy's writing style. Like her prose was really strong and it was just like, it was really easy to read, but it was also very like refined. Like I noticed like she is like the senses queen because she has I think she's probably the author who's written the most about smell than anyone I've ever read. Like there's something I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have thought as a reader or a writer about what this smells like, but she has a smell for it, and it was kind of cool. So it was something that I really noticed, which is like, you know, if you're noticing the sense of smell, she's doing a good job. So it's like a little thing, but it makes a big impact. So
even like when they did the part where they were doing something like the trials, the pages had to go and take the mannequins and they had to get to the other side, and that dog creature thing was after her, and she slid back into their little hut thing, and it was trying to trace her, but it was going off a smell. It couldn't see her, but it was trying to smell her. And I was like, oh my God, how's she going to get out of this and get back to the mannequin and get across there? She doesn't have that many minutes left. What is she going to do? And then her partner didn't seem like she really wanted to be her partner. The girl that she had got paired with, I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. It's not going to go well. So I was reading it like holding myself like, oh my God, are they going to get over there? Are they going to get over there? Oh my God, they're going to lose. They're going to lose. But they finally did make it. I was like, whew. So the action in it.
Right.
Yes.
The action and the tension, like she really had good balance of like, you know, that whole thing throughout the book.
Yeah. Well, there were lots of points of conflict, you know, lots of other like subplots and things that where like she didn't make it easy for Bree at all.
No.
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
I'm looking down because I like texted Alicia. I'm like, hey, we're on. Hope you're okay. Like now I'm worried about her.
Right.
So I guess, do you want to go into like any of your favorite parts? I know we started to talk about it. I guess, one of my favorite parts was when, oh my God, it was like when she was finding out, when she was being while she was being mesmered and like was finding out all the mysteries of everything. And then right before she pulled out Excalibur, which was like, what? I mean, it was like right at the end, like, oh, you're King Arthur's scion. Like, what? I just, yeah. Oh, now you need a squire.
Squire.
Now you need a squire, and now Nick needs a squire. And then I also loved, of course, the very first time Nick and Bree kissed. I mean, it was like, finally, like it wasn't like a slow burn, but it was like the perfect pace. But like when it came, you were like, finally. Sade is here. Oh my gosh, I used to work with Sade. Hi. Oh, how are you? Thanks for joining. Sade says, in addition to everything you all mentioned, especially the mental health aspect, I also loved her use of they. The author really did a great job on touching on inclusion in that way. Yes. Oh yes. I've been noticing, and I really have appreciated like a lot of the authors we've been reading, like I think like the last 3 in a row, they were all mentioning, I mean, it was all like, oh, there's this aspect of racism, or someone's wanting to touch her hair, or like, and so I'm just like, yes, like I'm just so glad this is in here. And like right at the beginning, I don't remember was he the president of the university, whoever, he was a dick to her. So I can't even remember who he was, because I just was like, I hate you, I'm blocking you out of my memory. And thankfully he wasn't in the story for very long. The dean. And I was like, okay, you need to just, and the cop too. It was like, all right, you can just like go away now. So but anyways, favorite things. So sorry. I went off my rant there.
Hey, Holly, when you were talking about the kiss between Nick and Bree, I did like that last sentence of at the end of chapter 24, where she says, "For the first time in a long while, I let myself enjoy a moment of warmth and safety without wondering if it's real."
I got chills.
Oh, that was so sweet.
Oh my goodness, chills.
I do like that part. And my favorite part is actually the memory walk, when they do the when she takes her to the gravesite and they do the memory walk. That's my favorite part.
Mm-hmm. I loved that too.
There's so many parts I like. I the memory one as well. And I think my favorite was when she pulled the sword from the stone. I was like, yes, I knew it. Like, I knew she would be the one to take the sword, but I didn't know like why or how that was gonna happen. I was like, because like, yeah, I know you're gonna be the one to get the sword, but I was like, how? And then when we had that walk and we learned about her ancestors and what happened to her, and the deal that was made that made them blood crafters. That's when I was like, oh, this is really good.
Yes, that finding out about the blood crafter.
Yes.
Right.
Now, how did you know that she was going to draw the sword? Because that surprised me.
Shocked me too.
Yeah.
I feel like some things don't really surprise me so much, because I think as a writer, I'm like, I would do the same thing. I would make this same choice, make the same decision. So I think that's why it doesn't really surprise me. But I didn't know like how or why she would be the one to pull it. I just I'm like, I know you're going to be the one to pull the sword.
Yeah. Because I was like, well, she's like the squire, or well, the page, you know, and trying to be the squire, like she's like, yeah. So it just completely blindsided me in a good way. And then afterwards, it made sense. I was like, oh yeah, like she's the hero, like
Yeah.
and that opened it up to, you know, a second book, which like maybe it'd be called like Shadowborn, or I don't know. I feel like she'll keep with the Born. That's just my thought.
I loved when she when Arthur came out of her, like he had control of her body, and like he basically what's his name, Nick's dad, he basically told him off. Nick's dad trying to use my people against me. Like I love that part.
Yes. Well, Nick's dad and his, was it his Merlin, the creepy guy, Lord, no, Lord Davis, and then who was the? Hold on, let me find his name. Isaac.
I think it's Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac. Like the creep. Yeah. I was thrown off by that too, and I was like, "No, Lord Davis, you're supposed to be cool. You have my last name."
Nope. Yeah, I for some reason I like forgot about Excalibur until the very end, because I know they had mentioned the weapons and everything like that. And so I was, yeah, like for me, hands down, like when you're like, what's, you know, one of your favorite scenes, I'm like, one word, Excalibur. Like it was just so epic. And I was like shocked by, not shocked, but like, I was like, wait, what? Oh, wow, yeah. And it just like was so epic. And then I also, I also enjoyed the scene where she, you know, gets a charm bracelet, or touches a charm bracelet, and, you know, is like kind of seeing back the conversation that her mom was telling her as a child, which is really a message for her in the future. And I'm like, whoa, like that was so neat as well. So that was another one of my favorite scenes. But just like you all, I had like there were too many favorite parts to like, you know, to like go into a lot of detail. But I just, and then one of the other favorite parts is not a particular scene, but we kind of already mentioned it, but just throughout, like seeing her figure out her powers and everything like that. Like, you know, it starts off by like, oh hey, she's not affected by the mesmer, and then at the end she's like pulling out Excalibur. You know, it's just like so great, that hero's journey.
Yeah. And that perfectly segues into who was your favorite and least favorite character and why. I mean, clearly Bree is, I feel like, is a, you know, favorite for most people, because I mean she was such a strong character, and her arc was so good, and it was so natural, and it was like, you know, I feel like there's a lot of times where I'm like, you know, like where I'm reading as like a writer and noticing like, oh wow, look at the sense of smell, that's so like, I love that, or like, oh my god, this is the midpoint, you know, or I'd be like B story, you know. And so but I was reading it and just enjoying it, and so like I was reading it and not realizing like, oh yeah, she's putting this in here for her internal arc, and you know, now there's, you know, I wasn't noticing that at all, because it just so like flowed so naturally that it was just like, it just like connected so well. And I think like the PCBD, which I forget what that was exactly, or what that stood for exactly. Hold on, I think I have the page number. The persistent complex bereavement disorder. Yeah. And yeah, so like I've never, you know, I don't have that disorder, but definitely have dealt with grief before. Like my dad, well, Heather and my dad passed away when we were 13. So, you know, I really liked that and felt like I could connect to her really well by losing a parent early on in life. And so I really connected with her in that way. And then, well, we don't have to talk about Lise because I already said I didn't like Isaac and Lord Davis, but yeah.
Well, I'll say my favorite was Bree as well, because I connected to her on a bereavement level too. Seeing that I just lost my mom 2 years ago, so I connected with her on that. And the character I didn't like was Sel at first. I did not like him because I was like, he's being mean to her. He's always trying to, especially when they were doing the trial thingies, and it was like he was setting her up to fail. He was like picking with her, being mean to her through the whole thing. So I was like, okay, I don't like this dude. I do not like him because he's just being really mean. But then later on, when I got toward the end of the book, I was like, okay, he's grown on me now. But at the beginning, I did not like him. He was the main one that I didn't like but he did grow on me later on. But Bree was my favorite. It was her journey that made me like her so much, from when she first got to the college to do her program and then going through all the way to the end. I was like, okay, her journey was worth reading the book. Her character was worth reading the book. So yeah, those were my two.
Yeah, I agree with Sal, because like especially the part where he went with her, like he wasn't supposed to, he's like, no, I'm gonna be with her, and then all of that happened. He's like, she's afraid she's gonna push her off the cliff, and it's like, dude, back off. Like
yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna jump in this book on him to make him leave her alone.
But then later he's like offering to help train her because she's struggling with like the battle part, and then so it's like that transition. I also didn't really like him at first, but then he grew on me, and then I understood him as like a complex character who was like, he was like, I'm part demon, like he had his own background that we ended up learning about in being raised and how he was raised and all that stuff. So it was like, oh, okay, like you kind of understood a little bit. But I actually, obviously Bree was my favorite character, but I for the reasons you both said, but I did want to give a shout out to Alice, her friend, because she kind of like, she was really with her throughout the whole thing, but in the background, you know how there's always the friend who's sort of like, they're not part of the magic, they're not part of the whole thing, but they support them, and like at the end she's like kind of thrown in and she becomes like vassal Alice. Don't worry, she's with me, don't worry. And I was like, she's like that loyal friend who's just like, wait, what the heck is happening, gets thrown in. And so I appreciated her as even kind of as a side character.
Side character, yeah.
Well, yeah, it was hard because like you wanted to root for Bree, but then Alice was being that good friend trying to help her, calling her dad, about these things, because she's like, I see it, like you're staying up late, you're going away, and then even when she cold turkey stopped and she's like, well, now you're here and now you're studying and now like you don't talk about Nick and like what's going on. And so yeah, I didn't realize she needed a shout out too.
Yeah, I mean, she was being a real true friend to her. Yeah,
and that's the thing about friendships and these types of stories, where it frustrates me kind of when you have one person who's like involved in this magical, fantastical world, but they can't share that with their best friend. I'm like, oh, just tell her. So like the part where she comes home and she looks a hot mess, and her Alice is like, did something happen? Were you assaulted? Were you attacked? And like she was like, no, nothing like that. But that point, I was like, just tell her, tell her. Um, so that's the one thing that kind of is hard for me with friendships like that. But I'm glad she finally knows, and I'm glad she was brought in at the end. As far as characters that I liked and didn't like, obviously I love Bree. But aside from her, I think another character I really liked was William. Um,
Yeah.
I wanted to see more of him. I thought he was really interesting, and I like how he was so I don't know how to put it, but like he's so caring, and I guess like he came to Bree's defense a couple times, and I'm like, I don't know, I loved his character, so I wanted to see more of him, and especially he has a lot of knowledge about this world, and I'm sure he's gonna be a character that we'll see more of, that will kind of explain more, especially like at the end. He was kind of like, we have to know what Bree knows. We have to talk about this. This has never happened before. Like, this changes everything. So I feel like he'll shed a lot of light into some things. But yeah, I like this character.
Oh, wait, really quick. Were you going to move on?
I was just gonna go to the character I didn't like.
Okay, I just wanted to say something really quick I thought of. I'm like, I also liked William because he was, I mean, like, no matter what, like, he was there to heal Bree. But so then I was like, if we see more of William, that means that someone's getting hurt. Because whenever they showed him, it's because he's healing someone. So maybe we don't want to see him too much.
Yeah.
To see him actually doing other things other than
healing.
Yeah.
Well, at the end, he was like helping to sort through new information and process things. So maybe we'll see him more in that role.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So the character I didn't like. So I started off liking him. And this was Nick's dad. At first he seemed like he was gonna be a pretty cool character, and then we get to that twist, that turn, where everything goes out. Then it was like he was putting up this act this whole time, and I'm just like, that gets me by character betrayals. Like when I like you and then do something to betray that, I'm like,
well, yeah, I was worried when like he had to go away and then Nick had to go away, and I was like, that means there's stuff going on behind the scenes, and it made me a little wary.
I wasn't like suspicious of him, so that like turn of events did surprise me.
I think that a lot of the characters in this book kind of surprised you a little bit.
one to smack.
Oh no!
With the comments they would be saying towards Bree.
Yeah,
I forget who it was, but I'm like, I want to jump in there and smack you right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yep. I know exactly what part you're talking about.
Now, one thing I do like about Tracy is that she took a college campus, a normal North Carolina campus, and turned it into this whole different world. which I loved.
Mhm.
I
That's
thought that
very
was,
hard to do.
and that's hard to do. I mean, she picked the actual urban location and turned it into a totally different world.
Yes.
So like you were saying about her world building, I mean, she did an awesome job with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that author's note in the back like had all that information about
Oh
it.
yeah.
So even learning about the root craft, like, oh, there's like lore for that. So
Yeah,
Is
and you learned a little bit more about her too in the Arthur note,
yes.
which
Mhm.
I think was really awesome that she actually put that in there
Yeah.
because it helped you connect with her as well as the characters.
Was this her debut novel, or did she have other books?
I think it's her debut.
Yeah, I think it's her debut, which is
Wow.
insane.
Yeah.
She's off to a great start for it to be her
Oh, I
debut.
can't remember.
Seriously,
Impressive.
I'm double checking Legendborn. Ooh, good. Untitled Legendborn #2 is already on. Woohoo!
But could you see this as a film though?
As a what?
As a film,
Yeah.
with all the the ether and the
Yeah.
little action battles with the demons.
Mhm.
I think it would be cool to see that on screen.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that would be so cool.
I think it would be.
As long as they do it right.
Yes.
There you go.
There
Yeah.
you go. Yep.
Actually, I think it's so rich they could turn it into like a little mini
Show.
Netflix series show
Yeah.
to do it justice, so they don't have to rush. I don't want them to rush all this stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that would like
Probably be better.
yeah,
It'd probably be better.
totally. So I guess we did kind of talk about the scene that stuck with us the most. I don't know if that was the same as your favorite part of the book, but mine was actually different. It was when Bree found out that her mom's death was just an accident. And it was that unraveling of the mystery with the policeman and being mesmered. Like it was just like a perfect pace. But that really hit me because it was all like, no, she knew stuff. We need to figure this out. And then it was just like finding out it was an accident, just like it like allowed her to have that closure, but then still it left so many questions. So for some reason that one stuck out to me, I think, because like that surprised me too. So I really liked the book because there were a lot of things I didn't expect, and I was never really able to predict like what was going to happen next.
I wonder why her mother never told her about the root craft and how her mother was. I wonder why her mother never told her. And then I was wondering if did her dad know anything about it, or was he clueless as well?
I think so.
I don't think he knew about it either.
I think he was mesmered, but
okay.
it worked on him, so he like forgot everything.
Forgot about it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I think because she says that she and her dad were mesmered in the hospital, and I think her mom didn't say anything because she was trying to protect her.
Yeah.
From
because she wasn't showing any sort of power, so she was hoping
when they're little.
Yeah.
So
she
hadn't shown it yet.
So she didn't basically show it until she got older, and her mom was already gone by then. So
yeah, because wasn't it that the mom had to die to if the power was to be passed to her or something? Wasn't that a thing?
Because I think when they did the memory walk, they said that, didn't it say something about it passes to the next person?
One
next daughter.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I thought I wrote something down about it, but
it just amazes me how the writers come up with like all that back history and all of the it's just so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, does anyone have any favorite quotes or lines? I had so many.
I
this
did. Oh, Vanessa, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say this one here on page 424 at the top is two faults, my race and my gender, but they're not faults, they are strength, and I'm more than this man can comprehend. I thought that was
Yes.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. I think I quoted that one too.
That is
Um,
one of my favorites was like one of the very last lines, where she says, "Unspeakable evil gave me Arthur, Vera's resistance gave me power, but I earned my will. The order is my court now, whether I want it to be or not. The table will look to me to lead." I was just like,
Yeah.
damn.
Yes. That's a drop the mic.
Yeah, it's like, so epic. But I also had a favorite quote where she says, "I released the breath I'd been holding," and I was like, yes.
I didn't read that. Oh my
On
gosh.
my page, like 100 something, like early on, and I was like, yes, you need that line in there at least once. It's a rite of passage.
So poor Alicia thought it was at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Oh.
But you're here now. Thanks, Alicia, for coming.
Hi, Alicia.
We swapped Alicia and Teresa.
Right.
Someday we'll all be here next month.
I like on page 488 in chapter 54. I like it when it says, "There is a cost to being a legend, daughter, but fear not, you will not bear it alone." That's like her stepping into her, which I think is rich.
Yes, I love that.
Now, does that mean that she has to find a King's Madge now?
That's
Instead, because I know Sale wanted to be her King's Madge,
what
but
That'd be awesome.
yeah.
that would be cool though if he was hers. But I think he's attached to Nick, so hopefully she finds one in book 2.
Yeah, because I mean, well, and they have to find Nick. Like that's one of the
And then they
things
still
that
have to find, yeah.
that's that was like one of my questions for the next book is like, well, they have to find Nick, who's gonna be Bree's King's Mage, like,
Yeah.
and then, who knows if everything's out the window now with, I don't know, Sal's oath to Nick. If I don't know.
Yeah. Because I was wondering, like, because I think he was owed to Nick because wasn't it because they thought Nick was gonna be Arthur?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now that he's not, I'm wondering if that changes things.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Alicia likes Alice's quote on 431. "If this is your battle, it's my battle too."
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
I
one.
love that. Ooh, Alicia, girl, you would have been going on. So, okay, do we need to have a team Sal and team Nick going on here?
No, but didn't Sal say he liked Nick?
Oh yeah, that's
Had a
true.
crush on Nick, so I think Sal was just trying to make Nick jealous, or I don't know, or maybe he's
he said
I don't know.
he liked them when they were younger, but he like moved on, and moved on from that. So,
yeah.
But I thought it was really interesting, having Sal, having a bisexual character as one of the main or like more important characters, because usually
Mm-hmm.
I think we see them kind of as like a side character that we don't see too much.
Mhm.
Right.
But him being part of one of the main three, I thought was really cool and interesting.
Yeah, I was like surprised by it, but then when I read it, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah, it took me a minute to pick up on that. I was like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
is he?
Yeah, Vanessa did. So we all were like, what?
What?
Oh, and JJ did too. Oh, nice one,
Yeah.
JJ.
Oh, nice.
And I think the representation of the sexual spectrum is excellent in this book. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot. Yeah, we didn't mention that, Alicia, with Greer's they them pronouns. And Tor and Sar, I don't know if I caught that.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think I kept getting confused and thinking Tor was like a male, but it was a female.
Victoria.
I know, it's because I have a Tor. I have a male Tor in Project Diamond, so I was like,
I think one of the pages, like I almost missed it, but like she mentioned, I think she had like a prosthetic hand or something like that. I forget who that was. It? No, I
really?
can't remember who it was, but I thought just overall, like the representation was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, throughout the whole book. So
Yeah, I had so one of the quotes that I liked, and so this one it just like stood out to me and like made me smile on page 160 where Bree's saying, I can't tell. Oh, so this was when she was describing Patricia. She's like, I can't tell how old she is, of course, because Black women are magical like that. She could be 40 or 60 or some number in between. And I was like, yes, yes, because Black women are magical and perfect skin. I just loved that line so much.
I was like, so true, because
Yeah.
you know, I get like I'm always told I look way younger than I am.
I have no idea how old anyone is. Like I can't.
I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take it.
And then
Hey.
like Beyonce, like wait, yeah, just like everyone. I like you like ask me how old like Beyonce is. I'm like, I have no idea. No clue.
Well, this is an aside, but like our dad was Black, our mom's white, but our mom's 70th birthday is tomorrow, and I'm just like, I keep going like 70? What? No, shouldn't she be like looking really old? Like really good. I was like, no, I'm like she's looking really good for 70. Like I'm impressed. Yeah, it should be 60. Yeah. So we're like, good. This is good for us. Oh, so the trainer, Jillian. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, there were a lot of characters, so that's why I'm excited that there's the sequel too, so that we can like read more about them, like William and everything. And then one other quote I liked. I was finding like random sentences and things. So, but this was on page 67, and I just really it stood out to me because I was like, oh my gosh, I've never heard anyone describe this way. You know, like you were talking about the breath. She didn't know she was holding all that stuff. But it was when Bree said, my eyes hurt, I whine. My optical, everything hurts. The rods and the cones, Alice. And like I was like, what? Girl, I have never read that before. Like I am just in love with this writing. Like, please, I am here for it.
Yeah.
So
Very well done.
Oh, let's see. Alicia says page 221 with the unmarked graves really got me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really, really powerful part. Yeah, I also when Bree was walking around the school and she's like on page 75, growing up Black in the South, it's pretty common to find yourself in old places that just weren't made for you. Maybe it's a building, a historic district, or a street, some space that was originally built for white people and white people only, and you just have to hold that knowledge while going about your business. And then, oh yeah, those folks never thought I'd be strolling the halls, walking around thinking about how their ghosts would kick me out if they could. You gain an awareness, learn to hear the low buzzing sound of exclusion, a sound that says, we didn't build this for you, we built it for us. This is ours, not yours. And I was like, leave my Brie alone. I was like, whoa, leave my friends alone. Yeah,
also kind of going with that, like, I don't remember what page this was, but like when she was talking about how, you know, the Legendborns can trace their history back decades, centuries, and like she can't, and that part got to me because it's like that's so not right, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think like what stood out to me too is, you know, we're talking about like the trauma and the grief and everything like that, but I still felt like Bree was a very like strong character and very and like an active character. She wasn't passive, so it's like it showed me that like, you know, she can have these sides where she's like crumbling, but she like gets back up, and you know, it's just like it's so powerful. One of the things that I really liked, the quote, one of the other quotes that I put down was when she says, my wall works two ways. It hides things I need to hide and helps me show the things I need to show. You know,
Yeah.
and I was just like, it's so true. It's so true. But that shows like, you know, the strength that she has, where I can't remember who was saying it, but they said, like, don't make your life about loss, make it about love. And so she's like able to move on.
That's what Vanessa just posted about.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Insta and Facebook.
Her dad said that line. Don't make it about the loss, the love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Daddy too. And Alicia says, I think. Oh, what'd you say? What were you saying, Vanessa?
Oh, I just said, and for actually being a parent, like he made her like he's like, no, I'm not putting up with this. You're going to counseling.
Right. Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's actually a good thing that she did go. Because she didn't meet Patricia, and then she was able to learn a little bit more about her mother's stuff.
Yeah.
And even when she's like, I can't help you, or, you know, I'm not the one to help you, like realizing that that happens too, you know?
Right,
so,
right.
Alicia says, I think because it made me think about all the unmarked graves worldwide and how people seem to always be working towards a legacy, and the unmarked grave takes away so much of that. Oh,
yeah, that's true.
So
yeah,
true.
Yeah, so true.
Howie said at one point that Bree and I are alike, and I totally resonated with her in that she lost her mom, and I think the way she built her emotional wall is very poignant and realistic.
Oh, yeah. Very realistic.
Like that made Bree so relatable. She was such a good character.
She was.
So I have an announcement regarding the book club, but I want to make sure that we wrap up all of our last thoughts before we make the announcement and talk about the next book. Anyone have any last thoughts that we didn't get to talk about that you wanted to mention?
I just hope I hope the next book that comes out kind of goes a little bit more into, especially when they're looking for Nick. And like Vanessa said, if we get a little bit more William without him having to heal a bunch of people, if we get a little bit more about William, and I can't wait to read how the dynamics are going to be with Cell and Bree and some of the other ones, since Nick is like missing now, since he's lost now.
Do we see what team are we shipping?
I feel like Nick is a cinnamon roll, so I must be Team Nick.
I might have to go with Team Cell.
Ooh, 1-1. Okay, who's next?
I'm Team Nick. I just, for now.
Let us know in the description what team you guys are on. I mean the chat.
I'm still kind of undecided a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm 100%. I'm kind of Team Cell, but I'm also kind of Team Cell and Nick.
Ooh, interesting.
I could get on board with that.
Okay, I could too. Yeah.
Now there's 3 ships. Alicia, I lived in this world in my head for like 2 days after finishing it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Alicia. Well, thank you for joining in the comments. I like Nick more as he stands right now, but Sal as a Gwen character is hilarious. But I also think Sal and I would be an even match.
Yay!
And thanks, Mr. Blandis, for stopping in. Thank you.
Hello.
Night. Awesome. Yeah, we'll have to see book 2. What's gonna happen? And JJ says Nick seems too perfect. I didn't like Sal at first, but then I liked him later on. Team Cell. Oh! Now we're tied 2-2 with some people in between. Or well, no, Alicia was Nick, so Nick's still ahead. But we'll have to see. So I will be posting this announcement on all of the Diversities Lit social media and then on my personal platforms too. But I know we've been on Facebook mainly with voting for the books and discussions and posting pictures and all of that. But I feel like a lot of the posts, people aren't seeing them, and I'm not able to reach the audience that I want to, and as many people as I want to, because like I want as many people as I can to read these diverse books, and I so enjoyed the discussions, and I want to get like more people's like input, and it's so much fun with the people that we do chat with in the comments. So we will be, and then there are also people that don't have the Facebook for various reasons, but so the main hub of the Diversity is Lit book club will now be on Goodreads. And it is actually already live. And I made it live just to make it. And then some people joined it already. So I was like, oh, there's some random players. But anyways, I posted a link in the chat, and I'll be posting it everywhere too. But I think it will be really fun. And I'll make sure to like mention the different specs and things, because there's discussions, you can invite people, post photos, videos, and then you can also set your notifications in the group to get like an email once a week or an email every day or an email whenever someone comments or makes a post or something. So like you can set it to what you're comfortable with, but I feel like that's a really good way to not miss anything. And then you can like add books. We can have a little TBR shelf for the book club. So I'm really excited about it. I hope you guys will join me over there. Alicia's already there. Thank you, girl. Lots of hearts. Love it. So that's the big announcement. But yeah, so this was really fun. So thanks everyone for joining us for Legendborn. And please join us. I have to move my Taco Bell nacho chips and cheese that Chris brought me to show our next book, which is These Violent Delights by, I was going to say Bly Chloe, by Chloe Gong. Super excited to read this. I haven't started it yet. And yeah, that is our book club pick for January. And that is that. So the links to my lovely co-hosts' YouTubes or Instagrams are down below. So please follow the lovelies all over the interwebs. And no worries, Alicia. No worries, not at all. I was worried about you, actually. Oh my gosh, is she okay? I'm like so concerned. So I'm just glad that you're safe and okay. All right, thanks everyone for joining us at the discussion, and I will see you all